from the Water and Wastewater Reserve in the amount of $20,000 to offset the cost of a second pump for the Pine Portage Road Booster Station, to reallocate $40,000 for the 2016 gearbox replacement project, to withdraw funds from the cemetery reserve in the amount of $8,000 for the purchase of a GIS mapping services for the cemetery, to reallocate funds in the amount of $15,000 for the demolition of second entrance stairs at the Kuwait Memorial Arena, to reallocate funds in the amount of $15,000 for deck repairs and resurfacing project at Kenora Library, to reallocate funds in the amount of $3,000 for the HVAC unit replacement project at the Kenora Library, and to reallocate funds in the amount of $12,810 for the Fisk Pavilion deck project. Declaration of pecuniary interest, anyone, Councilor McMillan?
Yes, Your Worship, I do. On resolutions number 24, which are record of minutes, and 26 and 27, which are the financial statements. My spouse is a member of the Kenora Police Services Board and does receive remuneration, and the resolutions relate to the Police Services Board.
Anyone else? Okay, resolution number 1.
Worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Rayner, that the following minutes of the Council of the City of Kenora be adopted as circulated. Regular meeting held July 19th, 2016.
All in favor, Council? Opposed, any? Motion carries. Okay, deputations. So we have one deputation today. Dr. Kip, you're up. Is it you and Jennifer,
Just
or
me.
just you, or just okay? The
Hi,
floor
good
is
day.
yours.
Yeah, thank you. Today I'm Dr. Kit Young-Hoon, a medical officer of Health in Northwestern Health Unit. Thank you for letting me speak today. The Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corporation has identified the Kenora area for a new casino site. And this gaming zone does include the city of Kenora and Washishkanigan. Both communities have passed resolutions indicating that they're willing to be a host community for a new casino. A new gaming site brings with it a number of public health concerns. Of primary concern is the resulting increase in problem gambling. So problem gambling is gambling behavior where there's a loss of control. It is gambling where the individual continues to gamble despite negative impacts on themselves and their family. It's gambling where they have a preoccupation with gambling, a preoccupation with finding the time to gamble and finding the money to gamble. And it's also gambling where there's irrational thinking on their odds of winning when they gamble. Problem gambling is associated with negative impacts on physical and mental health, and is also associated with substance misuse, addiction, depression, and suicide. This is a particular concern for the region of Northwestern Health Unit because we have relatively high rates of mental health and addiction issues, as well as suicide and self-harm. Problem gambling is also associated with alcohol-related traffic fatalities, financial difficulties, family breakdown, divorce, and therefore subsequently impacts early childhood development in a negative way. There are groups that are particularly impacted by the negative health impacts of a new gambling site. This would include males, youth, older adults, indigenous populations, and those of a lower income. Problem gambling disproportionately impacts the most vulnerable populations, especially those who are challenged with other social issues, and therefore adds to the health inequities that we are seeing within our communities. A new gambling site means that there's easier access to gambling, which leads to increased problem gambling. This is particularly an issue for casino as a form of gambling, and it's also particularly an issue for gambling sites that include slot machines and table games. Slot machines are known to have a particularly high addictive potential when it comes to problem gambling. In order to reduce the health risk from a new casino, a willing host community can require evidence-based healthy public policy. And so the purpose of healthy public policy is to create a situation or environment that supports healthy behaviors. So for a casino, this can include not opening for 24 hours. And so that is having at least a minimum period of time of 6 hours of being closed, not having an ATM on the gambling floor or at the venue. So this, in order for a person to acquire additional money, they need to get up, take a break, and that gives them a time buffer to reduce the impulses to overspend. The same applies to alcohol service, not having alcohol service on the gambling floor, but requiring that the person needs to get up in order to obtain alcohol or any type of drink. And again, in an effort to give them a break from gambling so that they do not overspend. Not having casino loyalty programs that encourage more gambling. So instead having a loyalty program that encourages responsible behavior. An example would be a loyalty program that rewards someone who has set a spending limit and sticks to it. Having a mandatory player card system. So this will be a system where an individual gambler receives a regular report of how much money they spent and how much the frequency and the time they spent gambling. Other operational policies can include no casino credit, mandating a maximum daily loss and a maximum betting size. This issue has been brought forward to the Board of Health of Northwestern Health Unit, and they have passed a resolution that this deputation be made to both councils of the City of Kenora and Washishkanika. In summary, a new casino site will lead to an increase in problem gambling. And problem gambling will lead to negative physical and mental health impacts and negative social impacts on the individual, the family, and the community. Healthy public policy is a way to reduce the negative impacts of a new casino site. Jennifer McKibben and myself are available to meet with anyone on council, individually or as appropriate, to discuss the issue further. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Kidd. Thanks for your presentation and thanks for your input, interest, and concern of the community.
Okay,
Okay, resolution number 2.
Resolution number 2, moved by myself, second by Councillor Rosen, that council hereby accepts the resignation of Roger Ritsima from the Environmental Advisory Committee, and further that council hereby appoints Stephen Iriam to the Environmental Advisory Committee to the terms of the pleasure of council.
All in favor, council? Carried. Resolution number 3.
Your worship, moved myself, seconded by Councillor Goss. I think that the council hereby approves an additional allocation of $45,000 to be funded through the computer systems reserved for the purchase of virtual service equipment and 2 DVRs, and further that in accordance with notice bylaw number 144/2007, public notice is hereby given that council intends to amend its 2016 operating capital budget at its August 23rd, 2016 meeting to withdraw funds from the computer systems reserve in the amount of $45,000 to offset the cost of this purchase. And further, the council give 3 readings to a bylaw to amend the 2016 budget for this purpose.
All in favor, council? Those in favor? Carried. Resolution number 4.
Your worship, moved by myself, second by Councillor Goss, that council hereby supports the sponsorship of the International Union of Forest Research Organizations being held in Kenora September 25th through 29th, 2016 at the bronze level of $1,000.
All in favor, council? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. Resolution number 5.
Resolution number 5, your worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rusin, that council hereby accepts the top capital priorities listing as attached to the CAO's report dated July 30th, 2016, and further that council hereby directs administration to aggressively pursue funding opportunities for these priority capital works.
All in favor? Councillor Mel?
Just a question. Can we be assured that the door is left open for other projects should they come along? So that'll be, okay. Thank you.
Can that be recorded? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. No, go ahead.
Your Worship, I like the list of projects and the work that the staff have done bringing them forward. The only one that remains, not really a concern, but just like to make a comment on the trails part. I've had a follow-up with Karen about what the trails project is about, and it really is the Tunnel Island trails. I know that we're still working on an agreement with the partnerships, and if we're looking at parks, beaches, and trails in our community, I think that one's going to be a little further down the road, that project, and perhaps staff could give some consideration to taking pieces of some of the other projects in that report. I'll give you a couple of for instances, and it's only because it's not Q8, and it's because I drive by there and see this all the time. But when I look at the Q8 beach and how it's used, it's packed all summer long. There needs to be what I've heard and through the report is a barbecue area and a bigger shade area and table so people can sit there, get out of the shade and have more of a birthday parties and cookouts. Just simple things like that, and instead of looking at a big project that's going to cost us over $1 million, is to the smaller capital projects. We're doing some of that work already with Anishinaabe, with Norman Park, with Coney Island. I look at Beatty Park, and I know that it's in Parks, Beaches, and Trails. Some of that work will never get done over there, and some of that work never needs to get done. A little thing just like benches throughout that park. I'm hoping that staff will try and pick away a little bit more at the smaller projects in the interim. So that's what I wanted to make comments about, just that one project. Thank you.
Councilor Randy?
No, I just want to make sure that Councilor McMillan's concerns were recorded.
And generally, you know, over the past, it's when windows of opportunity open for different things. These could go out the window and another project could jump up at the top of the list, and from email, the non-announcement by the Premier about funding was, but the partial announcement by the Premier was by September, we would have something in it sounds like transit, water, and wastewater. So we basically know the direction similar to the rest of the provinces that have signed. So that changes the scope of, when you take a look at the projects, the top 10 that we had on there, that all of a sudden puts, say, one of the, you can use the Pine Forge Road, for instance, and it could be another, because we'll talk about some other ones when we're gone. Kind of the top of the list. Wherever the window opens. All in favor, council? Okay, resolution number 6.
Resolution number 6, Your Worship, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Goss, that Council hereby approves the organizational review report and the related community consultation document for release to the public, and further, that Council hereby directs administration to release the individual department review reports to the public no later than September 30th, 2016, and further, that Council hereby approves the organizational review update report dated July 2016 as prepared by the Special Projects and Research Officer.
All in favor, council? Opposed? Motion's carried. Resolution number 7.
Your Worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Raynard, that Council hereby approves the updated City of Kenora strategic plan. Our vision is 2020, a bracket updated August 2016, end of bracket.
All in favor, council? Motion's carried. Resolution number 8.
Resolution number 8, Your Honor, moved by myself, seconded by Rory McMillan, that council supports the request from the town of Powerview Pine Falls to declare the community a sister community.
All in favor, council? Opposed? Motion's carried. Resolution number 9.
Resolution number 9, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Goss. The Council of the City of Kenora approves an application to the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation Strategic Economic Infrastructure Program in the amount of $1 million for engineering and construction of a T intersection at Water Street, Bernier Drive, and 2nd Street. And further, the Council hereby approves an additional 2016 allocation of not more than $300,000 to be funded through a combination of federal gas tax and the road, sidewalk, storm sewer, and water and wastewater reserves, and potentially NOHFC funding if approved, for the securing of engineering design and tender services, and further, that in accordance with notice bylaw number 144, 2007, public notice is hereby given that council intends to amend its 2016 operating and capital budget at its August 23rd, 2016 meeting to withdraw funds from a combination of federal gas tax and the road, sidewalk, storm sewer, and water and wastewater reserves, and potentially NOHFC funding, if approved, in the amount of not more than $300,000 to offset the cost of this purchase. And further, that council gives 3 readings to a bylaw to amend the 2016 budget for this purpose. And further, that council hereby directs staff to include the remainder of the cost for the realignment of the 2nd Street South, Water Street, and Bernier Drive intersection for consideration in the 2017 capital budget. And further, that council approves the sole source selection of a consulting firm for the engineering, design, tender, and contract, contract administration works.
All in favor, council? Opposed, if any? Motion's carried. Resolution number 10.
Your worship, moved by myself, second by Councillor Goss. The council hereby approves an additional allocation of $20,000 to be funded through the Water and Wastewater Reserve for the purchase and installation of a second pump for the Pine Portage Booster Station. And further, that in accordance with notice bylaw number 144-2007, public notice is hereby given that council intends to amend its 2016 operating and capital budget at its August 23rd, 2016 meeting to withdraw funds from the Water and Wastewater Reserve in the amount of $20,000 to offset the cost of this purchase and installation. And further, the council gives 3 readings to a bylaw to amend the 2016 budget for this purpose.
All in favor, council? Motion's carried. Resolution number 11.
Resolution number 11, your worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rusin, that council hereby approves an additional allocation of $40,000 for the installation of 1 gearbox at the wastewater treatment plant, a project carried over from 2015, to be funded through the reallocation of $40,000 for the gearbox replacement project approved for 2016. And further, that in accordance with notice bylaw number 144-2007, public notice is hereby given that council intends to amend its 2016 operating and capital budget at its August 23rd meeting to reallocate $40,000 for the 2016 gearbox replacement project to offset the cost of installations. And further, that council gives 3 readings to a bylaw to amend the 2016 budget for this purpose.
All in favor, council? Opposed, if any? Motion's carried. Resolution number 12.
Worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Goss. Council hereby approves an additional allocation of $8,000 to be funded through the cemetery reserve for the purchase of GIS mapping services for the Lake of the Woods Cemetery. And further, that in accordance with notice bylaw number 144-2007, public notice is hereby given that council intends to amend its 2016 operating and capital budget at its August 23rd, 2016 meeting to withdraw funds from the cemetery reserves in the amount of $8,000 to offset the cost of this purchase. And further, the council gives 3 readings to a bylaw to amend the 2016 budget for this purpose.
All in favor, council? Opposed, if any? Motion's carried. Resolution number 13.
Your worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rayner, that council hereby approves an additional allocation of $15,000 to be funded through the reallocation of funds from the lighting and astrofoil project for the demolition of the 2nd concrete entrance stairs at the Q8 Memorial Arena. And further, that in accordance with notice bylaw number 144-2007, public notice is hereby given that council intends to amend its 2016 operating and capital budget at its August 23rd, 2016 meeting for the purpose of this reallocation of funds. And further, the council gives 3 readings to a bylaw to amend the 2016 budgets for this purpose.
All in favor, council? Opposed, if any? Motion's carried. Resolution number 14.
Resolution number 14, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rory McMullen, that council hereby approves a reallocation of $15,000 to be funded through the exterior brick repairs project for completing the deck repairs resurfacing project that requires $25,500 to complete as lowest bid price received. And further, that in accordance with notice bylaw number 144-2007, 2007. Public notice is hereby given that council intends to amend its 2016 operating and capital budget at its August 23rd, 2016 meeting for the purpose of a reallocation of $15,000 to the exterior brick repairs project, and further, that council gives 3 readings to a bylaw to amend the 2016 budget for this purpose.
All in favor, council? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. Resolution number 15.
Worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor McMillan. The council hereby approves a reallocation of $3,000 to be funded through the exterior brick repairs project for completing the HVAC unit replacement project, which has a budget of $12,500, but requires $14,400 to complete from bid price received, and further, that in accordance with notice bylaw number 144/2007, public notice hereby given, the council intends to amend this 2016 operating and capital budget at its August 23rd, 2016 meeting for this purpose, and further, the council gives 3 readings to bylaw to amend the 2016 budget for this purpose. And again, that's for the Kenora Public Library.
All in favor, council? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. Resolution number 16.
Your worship, moved by myself, second by Councilor Goss. The council hereby approves a reallocation of $5,080 to be funded through the Discovery Center interior painting project, remaining balance, and $7,830 to be funded through the Thistle Pavilion ventilation project, remaining balance to complete. The Thistle Pavilion deck project, which requires an additional $10,000 to complete. And further, in accordance with notice bylaw number 144/2007, public notice is hereby given. The council intends to amend its 2016 operating and capital budget at its August 23rd, 2016 meeting for this purpose. And further, the council gives 3 readings to a bylaw to amend the 2016 budgets for this purpose.
All in favor, council? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. Resolution number 17.
Resolution number 17, your worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Rusin, that council of the city of Kenora approves an application to the Employment and Social Development Canada Enabling Accessibility Fund for the creation of an accessible path through Garrow Beach and an accessible platform which leads directly to water. I think this is a very major project. I think it's time that it's a big step in improving our accessibility. I think this is a wonderful thing. If we're a water and lake-based community, we couldn't be doing any better than this. This is a laudable project, and I think I'd like to congratulate staff for pushing through on this. It's a big move.
Absolutely. All in favor, council? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. Resolution number 18.
Resolution number 18, your worship, moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Rayner. The council of the city of Kenora approves an application to the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation internship program for a 2-year intern for the youth program coordinator position for the Northwest Business Center beginning September 19th, 2016 and ending September 19th, 2018.
All in favor, council? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. Resolution number 19.
Your worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Rusin, that in consideration of no perceived impacts to the city of Kenora, council hereby supports an application for consent submitted to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs, MMA, by Pre-K Enterprises Limited, owner and Lakeland Consulting Services agent for property legally described as part location 329P, Part 1, Plan 23R-3963, west of the city of Kenora, District of Kenora.
All in favor, council? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. Resolution number 20.
Resolution number 20, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Rory McMillan, that council of the city of Kenora hereby accepts 2016 first quarter investment report that includes details of Kenora Citizens Prosperity Trust Fund and other city of Kenora investments.
All in favor? Oh, Councilor Rainey?
2 points. Is this not the second quarter report that we're approving?
Yes, that would be a typo.
Okay.
Apologies.
And the second thing is, I've requested after the first quarter that we be provided a summary of, where we are to date. It's very difficult to go through and read and understand. I believe our goal is 1.1 million,
Oh, yes, okay.
but I don't know after 6 months, are we on target for that? Are we doing better, are we, the markets are gonna create problems for us, so again, I would request that if we could get that information in future reports, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All in favor, council? Motion is carried. Resolution number 21.
Your worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McMillan, the council give 3 readings to a bylaw to authorize the execution of an amending funding agreement between Industry Canada, Kenora, and the Corporation City of Kenora for the DTR Downtown Revitalization Phase 3 project, and further that the CAO be authorized to execute this agreement.
All in favor, council? Motion is carried. Resolution number 22.
Your worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Smith. The council gives 3 readings to a bylaw to authorize the execution of an amendment agreement between NOHFC and the Corporation City of Kenora for the Coney Island Development Project, and further CAO be authorized to execute this agreement. And before I would have a question on the report that's attached. It shows the, under the section of project milestones, that for the last 3 projects are to be completed by March 2018. Yet in section 3, that's been crossed off and it now says December. So does the top part have to be changed to so that it's,
It probably should have, that's been changed based on the request of NHFC because they want maximum federal funding for it. So the entire project does now need to be completed by 2017 at the end. And that is the intent. I understand that the working moving forward, it to be done before the end of 2017.
All in favor, council? Opposed, motion is carried. Resolution number 23.
Your worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Smith. The council hereby accepts the 2016 second quarter report for the Recreation Services Department.
All in favor, council?
Just a brief comment and reading over the report, a minor thing, but I think it's important. Yesterday, I think it was released, the leisure guide was released, and I see one of the objectives in the recreation report was to complete that. They're a bit like Panasonic, they're ahead of their time. It came out yesterday, so good work.
All in favor, council? Opposed, motion is carried. Resolution number 24.
Resolution number 24, your worship, moved by myself, and seconded by Councillor Maynard. The council hereby adopts the following minutes from various City of Kenora committees. July 19th, Heritage Kenora Committee, and that council hereby receives the following minutes from other various committees. April 20th, Kenora Police Services Board. May 31st, District of Kenora Home for the Aged Board of Management. June 16th, Kenora District Services Board, and further that these minutes be circulated and orders filed.
All in favor, council? Motion is carried. Resolution number 25.
Your worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rusin. The council of the City of Kenora hereby accepts the June 2016 Kenora Water and Wastewater Systems Monthly Summary Report as prepared by City Administration.
All in favor, council? Opposed, motion is carried. Resolution number 26.
Resolution number 26, moved by myself, seconded by
Councillor Russo.
Councillor Rusin.
Councillor Rosen. That council hereby accepts the monthly financial statements of the Corporation of the City of Kenora as of December 31st, 2015.
All in favor, council?
I have a question.
Councilor Ray?
We kind of streamline the process where reports are bypassing committee of the whole. And I don't know if we're gonna readdress that at some point in the future. But I think reports of financial nature like this should really be going to committee of the whole so we can review and have a candid discussion about it. It seems that when reports come to council, they move through very quickly with little or no discussion. So I'd like us, maybe we can discuss that later.
So when you say the housekeeping ones, which we deem as housekeeping right now, you want to see them come to the committee of the whole or just some to do with finance?
I'd like us to review
Which ones?
what's determined as housekeeping and what isn't, so that
Yeah.
the ones that maybe we should be looking at to come back to committee of the whole, so we can have a
Absolutely,
better discussion on it.
absolutely.
And just for clarification, if I could, because it's coming for direct council, that should not preclude councilors from asking questions.
No.
And part of the reason why we're doing that is you can't really change the statements. So the statements are what they are. That's why it's less of a discussion for what you can make a decision on, why they're coming here, but certainly happy to have the financial statements come to the committee full if that's the preference of council, absolutely.
I would support that.
We're okay with that?
Yeah, I think if there's any flags, we've got them there.
Okay, resolution 26, all in favor? Opposed, nay? Motion carried. Resolution 27.
Worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Raynard, that council hereby accept the monthly financial statements of the corporation city as of June 30th, 2016.
All in favor?
Just one quick question, sorry. So this appears to be a different format, so what's the status of our upgraded financial system, and will we be able to get reports on an ongoing basis?
Right now, these reports are being prepared manually by staff. That is a design that Lauren has done up. She's left the templates with our deputy treasurer. And I understand that the preliminary July statement is already available. It's already been prepared in advance of the September committee of the whole meeting. We are hopeful, our treasurer Charlotte Levy is working on GL changeover this week. She's dedicated to that project, and we are hopeful to be able to connect systems in the next month or two, which will allow us to start creating financial statements.
Thank you.
So is this similar to Sam's?
If we are not able to system generate, we will manually continue to generate to make sure that councilors and managers are getting the information they need, and supervisors.
Councilor Rusin?
With this transition to this new accounting financial system, have we run into some problems? Mayor Dave mentioned Sam's. And
I don't think we're
after
that bad.
Sam's and what went through with Kenora District Service Board, I'm kind of leery about changeovers. This changeover has been ongoing for quite a while.
We've had a number of issues, there's no question. I don't have the information here to review all the issues that we've been through, but it's certainly delayed from where we expected to be. The conversion was supposed to be done late last year, actually. So we are significantly behind, and it's one of the things I hope to talk to council about later in the CAO update, actually.
And it seems to be a sign of the times with similar issue with another organization. It seems to be happening everywhere.
I will say to council, we are, for the significant part, converted. It is not an option to go backwards. We are on the new system, we are running, the old system is no longer running. It's just issues related to conversion, such as the financial statement preparation, that we are continuing to work on. So, bear with us, I guess, and hopefully we can get those resolved in the next several months.
I hope it's not a trend for technology of the future.
Well, my concern is the fact that if you're having issues and it's delaying the conversion, I can't remember exactly how the wording of the contract, but what's the city's position for additional costs above and beyond contract? Are the issues related to Kenora issues, or is it related to the suppliers?
Right now,
Okay.
I reviewed this with our corporate services and strategic initiatives manager before she left, and it looks like we are basically right on budget for the conversion works at this point. We can have a more robust discussion about these specific issues on an in-camera level.
Okay. Was anybody in favor, all in favor? Opposed, nay? Motion's carried. That was for 27. Resolution number 28,
could here, Dave, for the benefit of the members of the public present. You have a resolution before you, but after the resolution was drafted, there was additional consideration that perhaps under the community celebration program, that the Canada Summer Games, the rolling events, would be also a good opportunity for the city to apply. We do have the ability to apply for 2 projects or 2 items under that stream, and if you have any questions, Adam's here to be able to address those, or Andrew as well, because that's a project from his department.
Is Kenora gonna roll it?
Yes, yes, he is.
With a better partner.
I think both projects are significant, both projects are bringing a lot of attention to our community, and both projects are very worthwhile. And we talked about, whether it's capital projects or anything else, anytime we can access funding that allows us to enhance those programs or offset the costs, we've agreed that it's important to go after those type of funded projects, so.
Absolutely. Okay, resolution number 28.
So where does this leave the wording of resolution number 28?
So you're just gonna add in, Scotiabank Hockey in Canada as well as Canada Games.
Okay.
in 17.
And the rest of it stays on the other side of it stays, okay? Resolution number 28, your worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Raynard. Whereas the Ontario 150 Community Celebration Program application period ends on September 2nd, and the Ontario 150 Partnership Programs ends on September 30th. And whereas municipalities may apply for 2 projects under the Community Celebration Program and 1 project under the Partnership Program. Now, therefore, it be resolved that Council directs staff to apply under the Community Celebration Program for Scotiabank Hockey Day in Canada and 2017 Summer Games, and apply under the Partnership Program to deliver the Swim to Survive program at the Kenora Recreation Center. And as for that Swim to Survive, I think it's a very valuable thing. Many of us grew up with Red Cross teaching us to swim at Coney and Rabbit Lake and such things, and it's not really a major program now, and I don't think there's a really robust swimming education effort. I think this thing at least trains kids to survive should they come out of the boat. Going forward, as a lake-friendly community, I think we should be trying to do something about improving the number of swimmers in the community as well.
Absolutely, excellent. Okay, all in favor, council? As amended, opposed, if any? Carried. Resolution number 29.
Resolution number 29, your worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Raynard, that the following bylaws be now read a first and second time and approved in their present form and presented for third and final reading. 88-2016, confirm the proceedings of council. 89-2016, budget amendment IT equipment. 90-2016, budget amendment realignment of 2nd Street, Promenade Drive and Water Street. 91-2016, budget amendment Pine Portage Road Booster Station Pump. 92-2016, budget amendment wastewater treatment plant gearbox replacement. 93-2016, budget amendment cemetery GIS mapping. 94-2016, budget amendment Keewatin Stairs demolition, Keewatin Arena Stairs demolition. 95-2016, budget amendment Kenora Library deck repairs / resurfacing. 96-2016, budget amendment Kenora Library HVAC unit. 97-2016, budget amendment Thistle Pavilion deck. 98-2016, FedNor amending agreement Downtown Revitalization 3 project. 99-2016, NOHFC amending agreement Coney Island project.
All in favor, council? Okay. Carried. Okay, for proclamations, notices of motion, Councillor McDonald.
I do, and you would think I would learn after reading long motions. I've crafted one, so bear with me. I, Councillor Rory McMillan, do hereby give notice of motion in keeping with section 7.12 Council's procedural bylaw number 173-2015, and will at the next regular meeting of this council to be held Tuesday, September 13th, 2016, bring forward the following motion. Whereas at the June 19th, 2016 meeting of council, a request was made to council from a staff perspective, asking what other information council needs to help them make their decision on the event center project. Whereas at the June 19th, 2016 meeting of council, it was confirmed that the senior managers would independently identify the top 10 projects as seen by administration, and that they would work toward developing a report that would come forward at the August committee of the whole meeting. Whereas it was noted at this meeting that council wishes to speak to the minister responsible at AMO regarding funding opportunities for this type of project, and the council wants to understand the Phase 2 asset management plan as well as the status of casino development prior to moving forward. Whereas at the August 9th, 2016 committee of the whole meeting, the co-chairs of the event center committee did make a deputation to council as a last opportunity to address any concerns and offer assistance to aid council's decision, and to respectfully request that council make a decision as to whether or not they support this project, in particular a second ice surface. Whereas during the discussion at the August 9th, 2016 committee of the whole meeting, a further request was made to bring forward the Kenora Event Center schematic design and business case report, including updated information addressing the analysis of capital costs should a decision be made to phase in the construction of the facility for discussion and deliberation. Therefore, be it resolved that this report come forward for discussion and deliberation at the September 13th, 2016 council meeting, the purpose being to provide clear direction to the Event Center Committee, City of Kenora staff, and our community of either council's support for the project or a decision to not proceed. That should council decide on continued support, the debate would provide the opportunity to provide direction as to how the project would proceed, either in part or in whole, dependent upon government funding, conditional on local fundraising, or scaling back the project to reduce the capital investment. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, proclamation. Oh, prostate cancer awareness month. Whereas prostate cancer is the most common cancer to affect Canadian men, and whereas 1 in 8 Canadian men will be diagnosed with the disease in his lifetime, and whereas an estimated 24,000 Canadian men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer this year, and whereas the survival rate for prostate cancer can be over 90% when detected early, and whereas those with a family history of the disease or those of African or Caribbean descent are at greater risk of developing prostate cancer, and whereas prostate cancer Canada recommends that men get a PSA test in their 40s to establish their baseline. Now, therefore, I, David S. Canton, Mayor of the City of Kenora, do hereby proclaim September 16th as Prostate Cancer Awareness Month in and for the City of Kenora. And announcements. Councilor Roos, anything?
No.
Councilor Westgate. Councilor McMillan.
Just very, very briefly about the AMO conference. It was an interesting conference, and I think a report's going to be forthcoming, and we received some information, but we did have a couple of good meetings, which I hope bear fruit, and one was with the Ministry of Health, Minister Hoskins, and the other was with Minister Chiarelli, and I'll leave that for others to talk about. So I think all in all, it was, I'm happy I went, so we can share that information. Thank you.
Councilor Goss.
Yeah, Councillor Bruson referenced this earlier, but I was really pleased to see the Kenora Leisure Guide. It's, as anybody looked at, if anybody's looked at it, there's a lot of information in there. This is a really good project. It's really been very well done. I appreciate that. We discussed it at tourism this morning, and it really is a really great reference point, and it shows what Kenora has to offer. Hats off to whoever's been responsible for that. I'm not sure, was that Carrie's project or?
It was Andrew's department, I'm not sure who was the.
It was Colleen Casey, and I'll share that with our staff.
Very well done. Very well done. Very pleased to see that.
If I may, the plan is to have it distributed to everyone in the community, is it not? Was that done through?
I'm not sure how that's being
I think it was going to go on the web.
Goes on the
But the impression I got from the person involved was that those were gonna be distributed throughout the community, so everybody would have access to it. So again, so it's a great project, but it's also gonna be distributed to everyone, so they have access to it, whether you have a computer or not. You're actually gonna get a hard copy delivered, so.
This was 10, over 10,000 copies being distributed.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Could I just mention one other thing? I think on the measure guide, where another very positive aspect about it is recently the Age Friendly Committee had put out a report on services for addressing age friendly, and there's a positive link between the two documents, so they complement each other. So I think it's very proactive.
Okay, yeah, just a follow-up on AMO conference. It was, I think it would be in our best interest to have the Premier here a week before the AMO conference every year. It was quite evident that there was direction given to ministers on our deputations and presentations of ministers and some positive feedback. Also having an old friend back in the Ministry of Infrastructure office as chief of staff, who I've dealt with before and was quite keen on looking at some solutions to the bridge issue. So keeping it on top of the agenda is a good thing, because nobody's losing sight of it. It's not gonna go away. It'll be something like I'm gonna suggest, might be long after my time, but as long as like the OPP costing formula, new formula, as long as you stay on top of it, eventually somebody's going to come around and they're gonna get a common sense approach and fix it. So, to echo, comments of the councillors, great meetings. It was, the conference had over 1,900 registered delegates, not counting spouses and everybody else. So it was a very well attended conference. As a guy wearing one of them red or blue ribbons, you heard from a lot of people, including fellow councillors, that they didn't like the idea of going 3 blocks down the road to go to meetings with ministers. But next year in Ottawa, it'll be obviously everything's in the same place, in the same area, and it is a bit of an inconvenience, just for the simple fact, not that we don't need the exercise. We obviously need the exercise. The problem is getting from meeting to meeting, sometimes with the tight timeline, so it become a bit of a challenge. But I got to commend the Windsor. They did do a great job, and it was a great conference, and it turned out at the end of the day quite well. The other thing, the rowing was mentioned earlier, and this weekend, I haven't been down to one of the events here around the lake for probably a couple of years, and used to go down. I don't think I was there last year. And there's a lot of people down there, Andrew. I mean, it was unbelievable. People from Edmonton, from Calgary, from Hamilton, from, all over Minnesota, just people from all over the place, and very impressed with the facility, with the venue, and next summer is going to be a challenge. We were having them conversations down there on Saturday, because we're gonna have, I believe, is it 300 athletes, Andrew, which are taken care of in the schools for ability. They're gonna be using both TA and Beaver Bay for the Olympic Village sort of thing, but you're gonna have a whole lot of family, friends, other people that are not gonna have anywhere to stay. So we had some brief discussions with Andrew and some people there. We're gonna look into some possible alternatives and some options in the general vicinity of it, and we'll have to do it quick so people can get it out, people can understand. Talk with the president of it, Jeff. What's Jeff's last name?
Jeff.
Yeah, and him and you, and they were both very, when I pointed out an opportunity, they were quite excited about it and thought that it might work well. So, but amazing, and with my rowing debut, because I've never rowed before, it was fun, and I will say that next year I will go and do a little training before, and make sure that if 2 people are gonna row, that my other rower rows with me. But hey, what can you say? Some people,
or you row with him.
yeah, some people will do anything to win me. But it was a lot of fun. It was great. I couldn't believe the people there. It was pretty amazing. A lot of people. And,
The Ojibways are willing to help you improve your skills.
yeah. That's really appreciated. And Heather was there just pumping the Kenora swag and it was all great, so. Great event and really, I think next year is gonna be amazing. I know all the people there are quite keen and we did, of course, put the challenge out to both premiers to do a rowing event, so that would be interesting. We won't, we'll continue to remind them of their interest in doing it, so. Okay, unless there's something else, resolution number 30.
Resolution number 30, worship, moved by myself and seconded by Council Rayner, that pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act as amended, authorization is hereby given for council to move into a closed session at 1:55 p.m. to discuss items pertaining to the following education and training members of council. One item.
All in favor?